According to the SomersetBorough.com, the old jail and sheriff's residence that's located at 121 East Union Street was built in 1856. Shortly after completion, the sheriff's quarters were added. Noted for its double gallows and numerous escape attempts, the jail was fitted with iron cell blocks in 1890. Traditionally, the sheriff's wife prepared meals for the prisoners. It is now used for storage for county files and is also a museum of sorts. Outside of its historical significance, it's known to be extremely haunted. It is also the only jail to rock its gallows indoors. So let's get into this awesome exploration of the old Somerset County Jail. Driving to this location, I didn't really know what to expect due to the lack of footage and photographs on the internet. The few short news videos and pictures couldn't really help me in estimating its size or condition. Being used for county storage, I knew that it was at least up to code, and being that it was a registered historic, I knew that it was completely original. I also heard it was haunted. Me being me, I'm always secretly hoping to have some creepiness involved with these locations. With the 8 hangings that took place within its walls, I got more excited the closer I got to it. This old dumbwaiter's here from when the warden's wife would make the meals for the inmates that were in the jail. They would send it from the kitchen of their home, which is connected to the jail, down here, and this is where it was received. And that's original. So let's quit beating around the bush here and get into the most interesting part of the jail, which is the gallows. And let's get into a little bit of history here. According to Murder by Gaslight, brothers Joe and Dave Nicely were the prime suspects in the robbery and murder of Herman Umberger in his home in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania on February 27, 1889. They were arrested, identified by eyewitnesses, convicted, and condemned to death, but the Knisleys maintained their innocence and tried every means possible, legal and otherwise, to avoid punishment, including 2 legal appeals, 2 pardon board appearances, a direct appeal to the governor, 2 jailbreaks, conspiracy to stubborn witnesses, framing of other suspects, and claiming insanity. But none of it worked. They said when there were public hangings here, other than the small group inside witnessing it, the entire town would gather outside of the courthouse, and they knew when it was over because they'd hear the loud bang of the hatches when the bodies would go through, and the entire town would applaud when it was over. These metal brackets are here so that when the doors would flap open and the bodies would go through, the doors wouldn't swing back and crush the backs of the hanging. So these brackets were put in place to kind of slow that process down. This was the women's section. Now, obviously, especially back in the day, there weren't as many women or female criminals that took up too much space in these jails, so they only needed one wing, and it normally wasn't full. Now that's a real jail door. Now, back in the day, this was considered the hole, and this is where you would go if you got in trouble, obviously. But, I mean, some of these prisoners rotted in here for weeks and months. These are actual messages from prisoners that actually were locked in here for long periods of time or awaiting execution. And here was another torture chamber for, someone who was really misbehaving. They would be locked in here for very long durations of time. So wouldn't want to hang out in there for months at a time. So if you didn't know about the old Somerset County Jail, you do now. Thank you for joining me.
Check it out, man. I mean, this merch is like really sick. Check me out, bro.